Today, I will present my presentation, but first, uh, of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Luthfillah Mafazi. You can call me Aji. I'm 16, live in Chelsea, and my hobby is playing soccer. Okay. Today, I will present about the greatest inventor and founder in the world since past until now. Okay. First, Thomas Alva Edison. Thomas Alva Edison, born 11 February 1847, and died October 18, 1931. At the age of 84 years, is an inventor and entrepreneur who developed many important tools. The Menlo Park, which was one of the first inventors to apply the principle of mass production to the discovery process. Okay, what he found? He found the year 1877 was probably the beginning of the golden year for Thomas Alva Edison, because in that year he succeeded in creating one of the great inventions as well as his favorite, the phonograph. The phonograph is the first machine capable of recording a sound and playing it back. Number 2 is lamp. Which city was the first to get electricity? Thomas Alva Edison knew the answer because of he and his colleagues who helped install the first light network. Precisely in New York, uniquely so far, people have mistakenly considered Thomas Alva Edison as the inventor of the light bulb because many other inventors had succeeded in creating light before. However, it is the Edison light bulb that is considered the first light bulb that is quite economic, durable, and can be produced publicly. Meanwhile, about 20 other lights that appeared before Edison's famous light were very expensive and quickly damaged. Number 2, Nikola Tesla. Tesla tried to develop invention that could be patented and marketed. Tesla conducted various experiments with mechanical oscillator or generator, electrical discharge tubes, and X-ray imaging. Maybe people think that the radio device was invented by Guglielmo Marconi and obtained a patent in 1904. But 9 years before that, precisely in 1895, Tesla managed to send a radio signal with a range reaching 50 miles. His discovery was completed in 1897, granting patent to the radio was Marconi's invention. This last 39 years before the U.S. government stated that Nikola Tesla was the person who first discovered the radio, namely in 1943, 40 months after Tesla died. Number 3, Alexander Graham Bell, born in Edinburgh, Scotland, United Kingdom, March 3, 1847. Died at Banbury, Nova Scotia, Canada, August 2, 1922, at the age of 75. Was a scientist, creator, and founder of the Bell Telephone Company. In addition to his work in telecommunication technology, he also contributed important advances in aviation and hydrofoil technology. Bell was generally known as the inventor of the telephone in 1876 in the United States, but according to the U.S. Congress in June 2002, determined that it was Antonio Meucci who invented the telephone, although Alexander Graham Bell was the inventor of the telephone. He never called his wife and mother because they were deaf. Since the age 18, Bell has received the idea of sending transferring word in 1874. When he worked on the telegraph, he developed the new basic ideas for the telephone. The experiment he did with his assistant Thomas Watson finally proved successful on March 10, 1876. When the word transmitted was, Watson, come here, I want you. Watson, come here, I need you. A series of demonstrations on the use of the telephone has introduced telephone to the world and led by his company, the Bell Telephone Company, in 1877. Okay. Next, Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, born in Vinci, Florence province, Italy, April 15, 1452. Death in Closelus, France, May to 1519. At the age of 67, is a painter, sculptor, architect, inventor, writer, philosopher, and Italian Renaissance musician. He is described as an archetype of human renaissance and universal genius. Leonardo is famous for his masterful paintings such as the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. He is also known for designing many inventions that anticipated modern technology, but un, but unfortunately rarely made during his lifetime. As an example of his ideas about tanks and cars, which he brought through the color image, as well as prototypes of aircraft, helicopter, and elevator. In addition, he also helped advance the science of anatomy, astronomy, civil engineering, even culinary. Da Vinci was always fascinated by human flight and his skeleton shaped like a pyramid and draped cloth was the resultant conception of great inventor. The Da Vinci parachute will give people the chance to float only in the sky. He explained the culvert as something that would have anyone throw himself from a higher point to get the ground with zero injuries. Da Vinci was always fascinated by human flight and his skeleton shaped like a pyramid. Leonardo da Vinci made several works known in the world of painting, such as a Gioconda, commonly known as Mona Lisa, Virgin of the Rocks, Leda, Ste, John the Baptist, La Supper, Worship of the Magi, and Christ Baptism. Among 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 other, his work saw a respected artist who is permitted to meditate on his own soul and make his own works. Unlike many other artists of modern day and time. Next, Steve Jobs, born in San Francisco, California, United States, February 24, 1955. Death in Palo Alto, California, United States, October 5, 2011, at the age of 56. Was a business figure and inventor from the United States. He is the CEO, founder, chairman, and former CEO of Apple Inc. In the late 1970, Jobs, along with Apple CEO founder Steve Wozniak, Mike Markula, and other designer, developed and market on of the first commercially successful personal computer, the Apple II series. In the early 1980, Jobs was among the first to see the commercial potential of the part box, most driven graphical user interface, which later I led to the creation of Macintosh. After losing against the 1984 board of director decision, Jobs resigned from Apple and founded Next, a computer platform development company involved in the higher education and business market. The purchase of Next by Apple in 1996 brought Jobs back to the company he founded together, and he served as its CEO from 1997 to 2011. The biggest contribution from him in not from cell phones, tablets, or operating system, but at Apple itself. Since he entered in 1997, Steve Jobs has built a valuable information technology company. The company has surpassed the likes of Microsoft and Hewlett Packard. The most amazing is the construction of a new Apple building that has an area of 2.8 million square feet with 300,000 meter for research facilities. Albert Einstein was born in Ulm, the Kingdom of Württemberg, Empire of German, March 14, 1879. Death at Princeton, New Jersey, United States, April 18, April April 18, 1955, at the age of 76, was a widely regarded theoretical physics science as the greatest scientist in the 20th century. He put forward the theory of relativity and also contributed greatly to the development of quantum mechanics, statistical mechanics, and cosmology. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 for his explanation of the photoelectric effect and his dedication to theoretical physics. For the theory of relative, and also contributed greatly to the development of quantum mechanics, statistical mechanics, and cosmology. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921 for his explanation of the photoelectric effect and his and his and apa of and his dedication to the theoretical physics. After the general theory of relativity was formulated, Einstein became famous throughout the world, and unusual achievement for a scientist in his old age. His name surpassed the fame of all scientists in history. And in popular culture, said Einstein considered synonymous with intelligence or even genius. His face is one of the best known in the whole world. Okay, next. Galileo Galilei. Italian pronunciation. Galileo Galilei, born in Pisa, Tuscany, February 15, 1564, dead in Arcetri, Tuscany, January 8, 1642, at the age of 77 years. Was an Italian astronomer, philosopher, and physicist who had a major role in the scientist revolution. He is referred to as the father of observational astronomy, father of modern physics, father of the scientist method, and father of science. His contribution to science include the improvement of the telescope, various astronomical observation, and the first and the second laws of motion dynamics. In addition, Galileo was also known as a Copernican supporter of the circulation of the Earth around the Sun and the Sun as a solar system. Next, William Henry Bill Gates. Bill Gates III, born in Seattle, Washington, October 28, 1955, age 63 years, is a business investor, philanthropist, writer from the United States, and a former CEO who currently serves as chairman of Microsoft, a software company which he founded with Paul Allen. He ranks among the richest people in the world and ranked first from 1995 to 2009, excluding 2008 when he dropped to third place. Gates was one of the world famous personal computer revolution entrepreneurs. However, his business tactics were criticized for being considered anti-competitive. In the final stage of his career, Gates conducted several philanthropic ventures by donating large amounts of funds to various charitable organizations and scientific research programs through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which was founded in 2000. Bill Gates resigned from his position as the highest executive officer at Microsoft in January 2000. He still served as chairman and formed the post of chief software architect. In June in June 2006, Gates announced that he would work part-time at Microsoft and full-time at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He gradually delegated all of his work to Ray Ozzie, chief software architect, and Trey Mundy, Microsoft highest research and strategy officer. Gates' last full-time day at Microsoft was June 27, 2008. Currently, he still works at Microsoft as a non-executive chairman. At the beginning of his career, Bill Gates left Harvard and worked with Paul Allen at MIT, MIT's Micro Instrumentation and Telemetry System, a company creating the latest mini computers. The Gates-Allen partnership with MITS is called Microsoft. A year later, the name was deleted, and in 1976, the name Microsoft was registered in the Mexican Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a trading name. In its development, Gates no longer returned to Harvard to complete his education early in his career. Gates introduced Microsoft Basic, but unfortunately, a copy of this program has been leaked, so that is then widely distributed. Gates then sent a letter of protest that forbade MITs to produce and distribute Microsoft Basic without getting paid. Unfortunately, the letter was ignored. In 1976, the Microsoft and MIT's partnership ended. Subsequently, Microsoft continued its partnership with IBM, which eliminated what was known as MS-DOS. The success of this partnership led Microsoft as a major player in the computer industry. In the following years, Microsoft later developed a Windows program. Initially, his partnership with IBM was still intertwined with developing OS 2. However, due to a lack of view, Microsoft ended its collaboration with IBM and switched to developing the Windows NT kernel program furthermore. Furthermore, as we see today, the company fronted by Gates and his friend Paul Allen made them trillion. Meanwhile, the personal life of the inventor of Microsoft is also going well. He married a woman named Melinda French. They were later blessed with children named Jennifer Catherine Gates, Rory Jones Gates, and also Pobe Adele Gates. This family lives is in wealth, but the generous side of Gates and his wife made him known to the world as a generous and kind man. Even even the foundation called the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is the largest transparent foundation in the world. Okay, next Stephen William Hawking. CH CBA FRSA 8 January 1942 14 March 2018 is a theoretical psychist, cosmologist, author and director of the Research Center for Theoretical Cosmology at Cambridge University. His scientific works include collaboration with Roger Penrose about the gravitational singularity theorem in the framework of general relativity and theoretical prediction that black holes emit radiation, commonly called Hawking radiation. Hawking was the first person to explain the cosmological theory described by combining the theory of general relativity and quantum mechanics. He is a supporter of the multi-dunia interpretation of quantum mechanics. Hawking is a honorary member of the Royal Society of Arts (FRSA), a lifetime member of the Pontifical Academy of Science, and recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian award in the United States. In 2002, Hawking was ranked 25 in the BBC 100 Great Britain poll. He served as Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge University in 1979 to 2009. He was known as the author of a popular science book that discussed his own theory and cosmology in general. His book, A Brief History of Time, entered the Sunday Times best-selling book list for 237 weeks. Hawking experienced slow, early, and rare amyotrophic ALS, also known as motor nerves disease or low-grade disease, that slowly paralyzed his body for decades. Throughout his life, he communicates using one cheek muscle that is connected to the speech tool. Hawking died on March 14, 2018 at the age of 76 years. Alessandro Volta. Alessandro Antonio Anastasio Girolamo Umberto Volta, born in Co- born in Como, land owned by Duke Milan, now Italy. February 18, 1745, death in Como, Lombardy, Venetia, now Italy. March 5, 1827, at the age of 92, was a psychiatrist Italy. He was especially known for developing batteries in uh, 1900, 100, uh, 108, 1800. He continued the works of Luigi Galvani and proved the Galvani's theory of the shock effect of rock legs was wrong. In fact, this effect arises from two non-similar metals from the Galvani scalpel. Based on this opinion, Volta succeeded in creating a Volta battery, voltaic pile. For it survives the unit of electric potential difference is called a volt. Alessandro Giuseppe Antonio Anastasio Volta, or Alessandro Volta, was listed as the battery inventor for the first time. Born in Como, Italy, and teaching in public schools there in 1774, he became a professor of physics at the Royal School in Como. A year later, he repaired and popularized the electropus, a device that produced static electricity. His promotion was extensive that he was often credited with his discovery. Although the machine operating in the same principle in 1762 was described by Swedish professor Johann Weiss. Volta is an Italian physicist. He was especially known for developing batteries in 1800. He continued the work of Luigi Galvani and proved that Galvani's theory of the effect of the shock of a frog's foot was wrong. In fact, this effect arises from two non-similar metals from the Galvani scalpel. Based on this opinion, Volta succeeded in creating a Volta battery, voltaic pile. For its surface, the unit of electric potential difference is called of a volt. In 1776 until 1777, Volta studied the chemistry of gas. He discovered methane by collecting gas from marshes. He designed experiments such as combustion of methane by an electric spark in a closed container. Volta also studied what we now call electric capacitance, the development of separate means for learning both electrical potential V and charge Q, and found that for an object they are proportional. This might be called the Volta law about capacitance, and the possibility for this work of an electric potential unit is called a volt. Next, Alfred Bernhard Nobel, born in Stockholm, October 21, 1833, died at Norra Begravningsplats, Stockholm, December 10, 1896. At the age of 63, was a Swedish German engineer and businessman who discovered dynamite. In this will, he gave his help to make a Nobel Prize. Alfred was born on October 21, 1833 in Stockholm, Sweden. His father was named Immanuel Nobel and his mother was Henriette Ahrsel Nobel. Alfred's father was an engineer and inventor. He built bridge buildings and conducted experiments in various ways in stone blasting. Alfred has two older brothers, namely Robert, born 1829, and Ludwig, born 1831. In the same year when Alfred was born, his father's business lost and closed. In 1837, Immanuel Nobel decided to try his luck anywhere and moved to Finland and Russia. Alfred's mother lives in Stockholm caring for her family. Alfred, Alfred's mother, who came from a wealthy family, began to open a wool shop from there he can support his family. Alfred died in San Remo, Italy on December 10, 1896. In his last will and testament, he wrote that much of his wealth could be used to give gifts to those who had commits humanitarian efforts in the field of physics, chemistry, literature, peace, psychology, and medicine treatment. Not everyone likes this. His will was opposed by his relative and questioned by the authorities in a number of countries, and it took 4 years for the supervisor to convince all parties to fulfill Alfred's expectation. In 1901, the first Nobel Prize in Physics, Chemistry, Literature, Psychology, and Medicine was distributed in Stockholm, Sweden, and the Nobel Peace Prize in Christiani, now also Norway. The, Nob- the Nobel Prize is given annually to someone who has meritorious or influential to important discoveries. Nobel is also given to those who have contributed to society in various fields. Do you know the story behind this Nobel Prize? Today, uh, 1, 2, 3 years ago, President November 27, 1895, a Semitic engineer and Swedish businessman Alfred Nobel signed a will. The content of the will are messages to give appreciation to someone who is influential in the community, reporting 20% effort. The content of the will a message to give appreciation to someone who influencing in the community, reporting from history.com. The successful businessman had previously carefully considered using his wealth to support the work of scientists and inventors. According to Alfred Nobel, someone whose works deserve to be appreciated and appreciate Nobel's will was uh, uh, frightened when he talked about how he would be remembered after he died. He was even more convinced to donate a portion of his wealth to the Nobel Prize. Initially, Nobel wrote 5 words in his will, 3 words for the great discoveries or discoveries in the field of physics, chemistry, and medicine. Meanwhile, the fourth is devoted to literary rights, the fifth award for people who have done the best work for brotherhood between nation and peace of war. Meanwhile, the sixth award, namely the economic field, was added in 1968. In the will, Nobel wrote less than 1,000 words that contained a description of the gift plan funded from a large portion of his wealth worth to 265 million US dollar. On December 10, 1896, Alfred Nobel died due to suffering a stroke at the age of 63 years. He is buried at Norra Begravningsplats, North Cemetery, Stockholm. In his will, the Nobel did not appoint anyone as the recipient of the will and did not consult with various institutions that had been Nobel. Finally, this award becomes an encouragement for someone to innovate innovates better. The first Nobel Prize was awarded at the Old Royal Academy of Music in Stockholm in 1901 for the field of uh, literature, physics, chemistry, medicine, and medicine. In 1902, the King of Sweden Oscar II did not approve of giving award to for foreigners. He focused only on domestic circles. His attitude began to soften after knowing the importance of appreciation for Sweden. The Nobel Prize is given annually on December 10 to commemorate the death of Alfred Nobel. Nominations that will be received are selected in several stages by authorized institutions. Benjamin Franklin, born in Boston, Massachusetts, United States, January 17, 17 and 6, death in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States, April 17, 1990. At the age of 84, he is a well-known figure in the United States and has left many works in his life. Franklin is a person with many types of work and expertise. He is a journalist, publisher, author, philanthropist, abolitionist, public servant, official, scientist, diplomat, and inventor. At once, Franklin was also one of the leaders of the American Revolution and one of the signatories to the American Declaration of Independence. His words are many famous and quoted by people. For example, time is money most likely comes from him because he is also a publisher and printing author. Many of these works can still be read by people because he is also a lot and diligent in writing. He is also famous for his experiments with electricity, lightning rod. He was the first head of the post office in America, the first public library marker, and the first person to organize a city fire department. Benjamin Franklin is a member of Freemasonry. Lightning rod. Do many people assume that Ben Franklin is an inventor of electricity? He was the first person to devise every level of positive and negative power, and he was the first to discover the principle of conservation of charge in 1740. Electricity was a new thing. Benjamin Franklin and his friend began investigating the electrical phenomena in 1750. He published a proposal for an experiment to prove that lightning was electricity. So, he used a kite to collect some electric charge from storm clouds in electrical experiments. Franklin invented lightning rods for findings, which is why the building was not struck by lightning whenever there was a frightening storm. He wrote the conductor electricity with sharp edges have the ability to draw electric charge and have a range of drawing that are farther than those with blunt ends. He concluded that this knowledge could be used to protect homes from the danger of being struck by lightning. By placing sharply pointed iron rods like needles knit and given an anti-rose layer, which was directed toward the sky and on the legs, secured by cables that led to the ground. Lightning rods will attract electrical charge in the cloth in the cloth to the ground so that the cost contained in the cloth are not enough to cause thunder and lightning. In honor of Benjamin Franklin's service in the field of electricity, the name is inserted as a physical unit of Franklin, or state column, static, or an electrostatic unit of charge. ESU. Fr is a unit of electric charge in centimeters second. The SI system as we use is used the column style. Now, Franklin is recognized as contributing to the ingenious invention that is very practical. Thus, he have a talent for interest and natural curiosity to find ways to make something innovative. One of the biggest inventions was songless, and Franklin was quite right recognized and admired as an inventor of glasses. Glasses are one of Ben Franklin's inventions. After several thorough studies, the glass made by Ben has two different optical power. Into single lens, in the single lens, the distance the distance from the lens is placed at the top and close the lens is placed at the bottom. Glasses are the result of the extraordinary evolution of modern times from the original creation of Benjamin Franklin is simple and practical. Next, George Stephenson, born in Wilham, Northumberland, England, June 9, 1781, dead August 12, 1848, at the age of 67. Is a railway engineer. Stephenson's father worked for a mining company whose job was to put coal into a fireplace from a steam engine. George initially worked as a catty stepper at the age of 8. Then he also worked in a coal mine. At first he helped his father. Eventually he became the head of the steam engine. While working, he began to learn to read by taking courses at night. After he was able to read, he began reading all books about machines. At one point, he was asked to help repair a steam engine, after which he was handed over an important task in machinery. At that time, coal mining was trying to use a steam locomotive or steam engine which could be moved to replace the horsepower that pulled the coal train. Then George made a machine called the Bruiser. The machine is running successfully. After that, he was appointed as engineer for the construction of the first Stockton Darlington Public Railway, which opened in 1825. Then in 1826, he worked for the construction of the Liverpool-Manchester Railway, which opened in 1830. Then there is a contest held to choose what type of machine is suitable for the train. Stephenson took part and won it with his machine called Rocket. This rocket machine still exists and is located at the Science Museum in London. The train is one of the alternatives to mass public transportation that is popular today. Almost all countries have trains, starting from the simple to sophisticated technology. Some transportation observers believe that this means of railroad mobilization is the safe means of transportation and has the lowest accident rate. So, it is only natural that the train is popular with people traveling. You also must have used the train, right? Well, do you know how the history of the train was created? And who are the figures dubbed the world as inventors of trains? If not, there's nothing wrong if you listen to the following description. The inventor. of the train recognized by everyone named George Stephenson. He was born in a city called Wylam, which entered the Northumberland region of England. The date of his birth was June 9, 1781. George Stephenson birthed his last birth on the 12th of August in 1848 when he was 67 years old. George Stephenson works as a railroad engineer. As a child, George had worked as cowherd. At the time he was only 8 years old. While herding cows, he also often helped his father who worked in a mine. The task of George Stephenson's father was to put coal in the steam engine furnace. Because of this persistence over time, finally George Stephenson was appointed as hand of the steam engine in the mine. Although his position was well established, George Stephenson still left. Sir Frank Will was the inventor and created the jet engine in 1937. He was an officer in the Royal Air Force. Meanwhile, at the same time, a jet-type engine was also created and was tested at a factory in Germany, Enkert. In March 1937, the designer was a German named von Ohain. The Whittle machine was developed several years earlier than Dr. Hans von Ohain from Germany, who was the designer of the first jet engine operations. Frank Whittle was born on June 1, 1907 in Coventry, England. For 4 to 22 years, he served in the Royal Air Force. Frank Whittle's first task was to design the use of a gas turbine engine for the aircraft electricity. From an early age, Whittle saw talent in technique and interest in flying. Initially, he was rejected by the RAF, but determined to join the Royal Air Force. He overcame physical limitation and was accepted and sent to the technical training school to join the Cranwell Apprentice Aircraft Squadron. He took aircraft engine theory and gained practical experience in engineering workshop. His academic ability as an airplane apprentice earned him a place in the office training course at Cranwell. He excelled in his studies and became a pilot. While writing this, where he formulated the basic concept that led to the creation of turbojet engine and patented his design in 1930. Subsequently, he further studied at the University of Cambridge, where he graduated with the first. Whittle was born in multi-story house and Newcombe Road, Earlsdon, Coventry, England on June 1907, the eldest son of Moss Whittle and Sarah Alice Garlick. When he was 9 years old, he and his family moved to the nearby town of Royal Leamington Spa, where his father was a very inventive practical engineer and mechanic both a Leamington Valve and Piston Ring Company, which consisted of several lathes and other tools and one-cylinder engine gas, and made Whittle become expert after 2 years of schooling at Milverton. Whittle was awarded a scholarship to Leamington College Secondary School for Boys. But then his father's business faltered and there was not enough money to send him to school. He quickly developed practical technical skills while helping his father in the workshop and read during his spare time in the Leamington Reference Library, reading about astronomy, engineering, turbines, and aviation theory. At the age of 15, he was determined to become a pilot. Jet engine. Sir Frank Whittle, the inventor of the first jet engine in the world, you can certainly don't know what she called a jet engine. Yes, The jet engine itself is a machine that is commonly used for aeroplanes which are usually used in military or commercial purpose. This jet engine is a very fast vehicle. Because it is very fast, most jet engines are used more on aeropa. Baterai habis sih.
Mati.
Enggak. Pasnya. Ada tinggal dicek deh. Yes, the jet engine itself is a machine that is commonly used aeroplanes which are used in military or commercial purpose. This jet engine is a very fast vehicle. Because it is very fast, most jet engines are used more on airplanes, and behind the speed of the jet engine there was someone who was very instrumental in this. He was Sir Frank Whittle, who was an Englishman, sir. Frank Whittle invented the jet engine in 1937. He was an officer in the Royal Air Force, or in Indonesian it could also be interpreted as the British Air Force. And then in the same year, the jet engine was created and even tested at the factory in German called Heinkel in March 1937. While the designer of the superfast jet engine was named von uh, von Ohain, who of course came from German. The engine created by Sir Frank Whittle was later developed by a German man, and also at the same time the designer of the first jet engine operation named Dr. Hans von Ohain. Sir Frank Whittle himself was born on June 1, 1907 in Coventry, England. Then in 1930, Sir Frank Whittle submitted a broad patent application. Then Sir Frank Whittle got the attention at the agreement from the Air Ministry and also from the industry. First jet engine model, then after Sir Frank Whittle got the support of an investment bank. In 1963, Power Jet was built and Sir Frank Whittle was given in the job by the company for special military duties to design and develop his jet engine. The following year, because the first experiment had a lot of problems, it was necessary to recontract several times. In 1939, finally, Sir Frank Whittle's invention of experiment was well received by the Air Ministry because Sir Frank Whittle had repaired the engine so that the engine produced with 10 combustion chamber was done quite well. Today's jet engine now, the jet engine of Frank Whittle finding has been widely used by aircraft, whatever commercial or fighter aircraft. Sir Frederick Henry Royce, once Baronet, OB, 27 March 1863, 22 April 1933, was an English engineer and car designer who, with Carlos Rolls and Carl Johnson, founded the Rolls-Royce Company. Royce was born in Alwalton, Huntingdonshire, near Peterborough in 1863, to James and Mary Royce King. As the youngest of their 5 children, his family ran a floor which the last from the ecclesiastical commissionary, but the business failed and the family moved to London. His father died in 1872 and Royce had to go out to work selling newspapers and delivering telegrams, having had only 1 year of formal schooling. In 1878, he get started and apprenticed with the Great Northern Railway Company at its work in Peterborough thanks to the financial help of an aunt. After 3 years, the money ran out, and after a short time with a tool-making company in Leeds, he returned to London and joined the Electric Light and Power Company. He moved to their Liverpool office in 1882, working on street and theatre lighting. In the 1884, with 20 of savings, he entered a partnership with M.S. Claremont, a friend who contributed 50, and they started a business making domestic electric fitting in a workshop in Cookstairs, Manchester. Called F.R. Royce and the company. In 1894, they started making dynamos and electric cranes, and F.R. Royce company was decided a limited liability company. Rolls-Royce Limited, a famous British car manufacturer which also produced aircraft engines. Rolls-Royce was founded by Charles Stewart Royce and Sir Frederick Henry Royce on March 15, 96, as a continuation of the partnership that has existed since 1904. In 1971, Rolls-Royce experienced financial difficulties due to the development of the RB 211, which was too expensive, so the company was nationalized to become Rolls-Royce 1971 Limited. In 1973, the car division was separated from its parent company as Rolls-Royce Motors. Rolls-Royce 1971 Limited also continued to produce aircraft engines until it provides in 1987 as Rolls-Royce Bells. In 1884, Henry Royce started the engine and electricity business under the name of Royce Ltd. In 94, Royce assembled his first engine, Royce 10, at his Manchester factory on May 4, 94. This machine was introduced by Royce to Charles Royce at Midland Hotel, Manchester, named Case Rolls, and Co-Rolls was very impressed with this Royce 10, so that according to the agreement they made on December 23, 94, 19, and for Rolls start, they was willing to sell at all the machine produced by Royce. Richard Trevithick, 13 April 1771, 22 April 1833, was a British inventor and mining engineer from Cornwall, England. The son of mining captain and born in the mining heartland of Cornwall, Trevithick was immersed in mining and engineering from an early age. He performed poorly in school but went on to be an early pioneer of steam-powered roads and rail transport. His most significant contribution was the development of the first high-pressure steam engine. He also built the first full-scale forming railway steam locomotive. The world's first locomotive hauled railway journey took place on 21 February 1904, when Trevithick, a named steam locomotive, held a train along the tramway of the Pedderen Iron Works in Metri, Trideville, Wales. Turning his interest aboard, Trevithick also worked as a mining consultant in Peru and later explored parts of Costa Rica. Throughout his professional career, he went through many ups and down, and at one point faced financial ruin, also suffering from the strong rivalry of many mining and steam engineering of the day. During the prime of his career, he was a well-respected and known figure in mining and engineering. But near the end of his life, they fell out of the public eye. Richard Trevithick was born at the Tregaron in the parish of Ilogan between Cambon and Redruth, in the heart of one of the rich mineral mining areas of Cornwall. He was the youngest but one child and the only boy in the family of 6 children. He was very tall for the era at 6 feet, as well athletic and concentrates more on sport than schoolwork. Sent to the village school at Combon, he did not take much advantage of the education provided, and of his schoolmaster describes him a disobedient slow, obstinate spoiled boy, frequently absent and very intensive. An expectation was arithmetic, for which he had an aptitude, both arriving to the correct answer by unconventional means. Trevithick was the creator of the first steam locomotive in 1802. The locomotive created by him was publicity display in 1804. The locomotive created by Trevithick was then used to transport the coal in the mining area north of England around 1813 and until 1820. The Trevithick locomotive was a forerunner of the modern locomotive in the future. The young Trevithick never left his homeland, which is a thin mining area. Trevithick received basic education in a local village school. His class teacher considered Trevithick as a stubborn and slow-thinking child. However, since he was a child, Trevithick has known traditional talent in engineering. Its ability is more updated from the surface of feeling, so confusing technicals for who really get a formal education. Because of the advance he had, then Trevithick got a job as a technical in several tin war mines in 1719 at a young age of 19 years. Biography of Richard Trevithick, inventor of steam locomotive from England. Biography of Richard Trevithick, inventor of steam locomotive from England, 1797. Trevithick created various models of high-pressure machines which turned out to be very useful at this time. He managed to make a large-size machine capable of carrying tin ore. Trevithick recruited 30 of the same machine to serve transportation in several mines. The machines created by Trevithick are very well known because from afar have seen a thick puff of smoke into the air while being run. Like a chairman in 1801, Trevithick launched its first steam train. This steam train is able to climb hill in the Cornwall area. In March uh, in March 1802, Trevithick obtained a patent for the high-pressure locomotive. He created steam locomotive created by Richard Trevithick in 1803. He made the second steam locomotive and launched in the street of London. Then Trevithick made the first steam locomotive along the rail in South Wales. On February 20, 1804, the locomotive created by Trevithick was able to win bids by breaking the record of transporting 10 tons of lead sheet and adding 70 passengers as far as 10 miles along the available rail. Behind his success in creating a locomotive, it turned out Trevithick is a person who is easily offended and impatient in managing of a business. As a result, in 1811, his business went bankrupt. Trevithick then sailed to South America in 1816. After his exhausting adventure, Trevithick returned to England in 1827 in poor condition, arrived in his country again. He witnessed that George Stephenson had succeeded in taking advantage of the invention he left behind. Trevithick died poorly on April 22, 1833, and was even buried without tombstone. Trevithick realized nature had brought him into the description because he had not benefited from what he had created himself. Okay, thank you. Bye.